Okay. So we have 30 minutes, but I promise you, you'll get concrete, immediate tactics that you can apply now. And I would love that if you've applied it, you give me feedback as well, right? So let's begin. So I want to set expectations of what we will cover. Okay. This is an overview talk because obviously business development and enterprise sales is such a big topic, both in breadth and depth. I will share a couple of frameworks with examples, but my goal for you is to have at least one key takeaway that you can take action. And so, how we will cover it, we'll have 20 to 25 minutes on the lightning lesson. Give me like 2 to 3 minutes on what I wanted to discuss with you, which is my course. And I can stay on for 5 to 10 minutes if you have questions, even if it's going to be about your sales or your strategy. Happy to answer all of those questions. Okay. Give me a thumbs up. Some engagement, right? Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay. So here's what I've learned in 25 years of sales, right? They say sales is a contact sport, and if you're in sales, you would know what I'm talking about. You talk to lots of people and you will have more sales. I'm not talking about networking, okay? That's different. But here's three key things that I really learned after more than 25 years, and I'm very grateful for the companies that I've joined because they've taught me a lot on strategic selling. So you need to have a strategy. You need to play to win. So the best definition of strategy that I've heard is from Professor Roger Martin. He's is a professor in the US, and he says strategy is the act of making an integrated set of choices which positions you to win. It has to be data driven. So look at your successes. That's where you focus, right? And don't get distracted. That's a challenge as well because there's so many opportunities and we get distracted. So you have to have a strategy to win. Second, you need to have a very structured sales process aligned to your buyers. Sellers who hit their quotas consistently spend a lot of time aligning themselves to buyers and in a really more structured, very much consultative process, right? And when you have a structure, it's easy to have the right and consistent behaviors. What do I mean by that? Enterprise sales is really so complex. And sometimes, you're kind of lost. Where am I? Am I still pitching? Am I already proposing? Am I still in the qualifying stage? Do they actually have a budget? Am I really working with them? So it's really hard. So if you have a structure, you know where you are because it's very clear both yourself and your clients where you are. And here's why a structure really works. You have common language, you have aligned goals, and most importantly, you'll have a very good forecast. If you're in corporate sales, and even if you are a startup, forecasting is so important. I mean, if you have a startup, you want to have angel investors or VCs, or if you are in corporate, you're reporting to your sales manager, to a CEO, it's a numbers game for salespeople. So a really great forecast is so important. So the other one that I wanted to heed, and I think this is something that I've learned only in the last probably 10 years of my sales career. Focus and momentum is really important. Like time is the most valuable asset. So in enterprise sales, the challenge is it's a long selling sales cycle. So it's like 1 million, contract. Like when I was at Ruckus, we won like a $1 million Wi-Fi project deal, right? And you'd think, for enterprise, it's gonna take them months. This only took us a few months, probably 2 months. And I realized actually, even if you work with corporate clients, you can make it happen. So the corporate clients, they're very used to long selling cycles, but actually you can challenge that. Shorter sales cycle means higher win rates. The more that you have deal momentum, the more that you'll have more chances to win. Any sales that drag along the 3 months to 6 month cycle, I mean, show of hands, right? It kind of died down. Momentum kills it. And without a doubt, time is really your most valuable asset. So shorter sales cycle, higher win rates. Then focus on the right opportunities. Oh, it's not clicking. Focus on the right opportunities, right? Play to win. Don't get distracted. Sometimes we target like this is our top 50 accounts, and then one client comes along and say, "Hey, I want to talk to you." but they're not the right client for us, then you get distracted. Then you'll not be able to win what you're supposed to run after. And so you need to create consistent momentum. And I'll show you more tactically how to do that. So there's a very big framework behind this. It's called the B2B sales maturity framework. I know this is a lot, so forgive me. Just two key things. One is you're going to have strategy aligned with your sales process. Therefore, you're going to have the right behavior. Now, the curriculum is all about this, but today I'm going to give you just 3 points that will cover how to qualify rigorously, ruthlessly, manage the complexity, and enable decision making, which is really, really important. So, um, because you attended this, you're gonna get an email from me. There's a free assessment on the B2B sales maturity framework. It's just 15 questions. If you spend 12 minutes in there, you already see a lot of improvement if you know where your sales process is missing. Okay, so rigorously qualify. What do I mean by that, right? So qualify ruthlessly. Qualifying is much as important as qualifying in and qualifying out. And you got to structure the conversation, and we'll go into that into every detail how to structure it, because if you don't have any focus on a meeting with the clients, you'll get lost, right? So effective sales teams, the ones consistently hitting their quotas, have very clear, well-defined qualification models. So you have to build those lists. I'll share with you some examples, but you have to build your own, particularly to your company. And the next one is, I've mentioned that, a checklist. And then, so this is an example of a qualification checklist. I'm moving a bit fast because I realize the minutes. So this is one, actually, this is a client of mine. I changed the name. They're based in Asia, in Singapore. They're a boutique management consulting firm, and they compete with the likes of McKinsey, right? Now, their target market is actually really big accounts, the conglomerates. They've only won in the past two, and they've always been bothered. Not, I mean, I use the word bother because they're distracted. They've always been distracted with middle markets, and they end up losing a lot of time because these middle markets can't even afford them, right? So we worked together, and I said, okay, this is your ideal customer value. These are the companies that you need to run after. So prestige, reputation, those are values, right? Top of shelf solutions. And if they are working with the top big three, PwC, Deloitte, then that's your client, right? So they started working on just this focus, and they told me, because we're still working together, their turnaround time now is 44 days. So in that 44 days, they have 35 leads that they've turned into a client. Now, that's a big number, right? Because immediately on the first meeting, for 10 to 20 minutes, they already see, like, okay, this is not our client. And you gotta focus on that. So how to build your own list? This is an example of a qualification checklist. I actually have more details on it, but let's break it down. So first, ideal client profile, ICP, everyone talks about it, right? So there's a checklist that you can work on that, and you can filter it out in Apollo or Sales Navigator. There's a lot of tools on that. More importantly, problem and solution fit. Is there a perfect match between their challenges and their problems to what you're actually delivering? And you gotta know it in the first meeting, because, and I'll structure the conversation as well, like, don't start with your products or services. Budget and decision making. Do they have resources? No matter how great your proposal, if they can't pay what you need for that project, there's no point. And also, you don't want to be in a project that can't give you profit. A 25 million revenue project with no profit is not a good business deal. So you need to learn to walk away. So timeline and urgency, is it this month? Is it next month? Is it 6 months, 12 months? You got to know that for your forecasting. And again, values and engagement. This one I want to pause a little bit. Some companies say they're very innovative, and then when you start working with them, They're not actually innovative, they're very traditional. So if they want to make decisions, it's quite long. So you have to understand, are your values aligned? Is this compatibility between your company and their company, right? So now the how. First thing is, don't lead with your product or a solution. I know it's very tempting, especially when you walk into a meeting and say, "Hey, Red, nice to meet you. So tell me all about your company," right? The first thing you do is you're going to pitch. Just put it in the chat if you've done this, because I fall on this trap all the time, right? I'm a salesperson. I'm quite excited. So, first thing is, don't lead with your product or your solution. Lead with your client's need. Understand your clients' goals first. There's something in the chat. Let me just check. All the time. Yes, right? And so stop. Understand their problems first, and then I'm gonna go into the next deeper one, the next slide. Demonstrate a clear vision of collaboration and shared success, like how it look like. If you work with me, you're gonna generate this revenue, or you're gonna save money or save time. Then show them the value that they'll gain, impact aligned to their business goals. So this one, if you tell them that this is what you're gonna achieve working with me, but if they're not aligned to their business goals, you're not gonna win either, right? So there's the ORD framework, which is opportunity, resources, and decision making. So these are three key things that you need to work with. Now we're just gonna cover the top level because in the course we go down to the details. But once you have the opportunity, resources, decision making, then you proceed. Okay. If you don't have the right alignment, you gotta make a decision. Do you gracefully exit, or put it in your CRM and you nurture it like in next 3 months, next 6 months, but don't put it in your forecast, right? Because you know that's not going to happen yet. And then if the three ORD aligns, then you'll be able to provide them the exact solution and the results that they want. Now, a lot of my students always ask me, Ren, can you help me do negotiation? If we've done a really, really good job on the ORD, you don't even have to negotiate because you're getting micro commitments as you go along the way. And this is how you'll do it, right? So 5 steps on how to qualify opportunities. For example, you set a meeting with a client, and obviously, when you enter the meeting room or you're in a Teams or a Zoom call, okay, Ren, you set a meeting with me. Tell me all about your company. You got to pause and say, hey, really love to talk about our company first, but I've made some research on your company, which is, you push your products and feature set. And this is what I've learned from your company. Is this true? Then you push on them. So don't jump to selling a product or a solution. Talk about what are the goals and the results that they want. By the way, on the next slide, I'm gonna go into the details anyway, so I'll go here very fast. Prioritize what are the issues are, because they're gonna tell you probably 10 or 5, but out of all, what's the most key important? Again, aligning them to their business goals, right? And then gather evidence and impact so that that problem exists. So one of the key problems, I'll give you an example. I have a client, they were a CRM SaaS company for not for profit, and they're competing with um, Salesforce and HubSpot. So we went to a client, and the client said, I have a problem with my CRM, and said, what's your problem with your CRM? We couldn't get the right forecast. Why can't you get the right forecast? It sounds a stupid question, right? But believe me, you ask a kid like a 5 why question. Why don't you have the sales forecast? Oh, because our salespeople are not adding the sales forecast. So why are they not adding the sales forecast? We don't know. So, you could submit a proposal to this opportunity, but in 3 to 6 months down the road, they're never going to make a decision because the problem is the salespeople are not putting in the numbers, right? So there's no problem with the platform. It's a user problem. So you got to know what's the evidence and the impact that that problem exists, and then explore context and constraints. Why didn't they work on this before? What was the issue? It can be political as well. So those questions you got to ask upfront. So this is a very structured way to do it. Again, don't focus on the solution. Is it a problem that they want to address, or is it a result? So results are revenue goals, new product, high level. So in a coaching, you chunk up when it's a goal, when you chunk down when it's a problem. So keep on asking the 5 whys. Then what is the evidence that the problem exists? And then this the person has it. If the person has it, then you can measure now. So how do you measure it? What is it now? What would you like it to be? So these are hard evidences. Now there can be soft evidences as well, like there's a lot of churn on the clients. Well, you can make it a hard evidence if it's an NPS, right? But you get my point. Like peel the onion, what are the soft evidences? Then Eureka, right? You'll be able now to help your clients see their blind spot that your solution or your product will be able to address. Now, if the person doesn't have it, it's really a signal that you're talking to the wrong person. Like at the very early stage, you need to find who else has this information, and then you'll be able to corral. Remember, enterprise sales, there's so many people, right? Either you have three, four, five buying centers, and you'll be able to see who are the real people who's behind those projects. And unfortunately, some of our clients, they won't get people involved unless you ask. So also, if they don't know the information, is this really important to them? And if it's important, could you help them? Can you build a business case with them? What are the contexts and constraints? So these are the questions that you really need to ask. So if they don't have it, it it's a real warning signal, right? Now, so the client situation, they gave you the problems for the results that they want. Now you need to have the evidence, right? So now you have the evidence, and what is the impact? Impact needs to be tangible. As much as possible, you need to provide numbers and what is the compelling event behind it. So your solution, your business problem hypothesis should be your client's unique situation aligned to their decision criteria, which is a compelling event. And now you can have a solution aligned to the client. I just want to give you a quick overview of strong value propositions, right? So this is how you rigorously qualify when you can provide strong value propositions linked to their business goals. With your solution, you can provide them cost reduction of 20%, or they will reduce risk because you've helped them do an MVP without going to the full investment of 30 million. So these are all examples. You guys with me? We're now going to managing sales, complex sales, and it's already 27 minutes. Okay, I'll move really, really fast. Just give me a thumbs up if you're still with me and enjoying this lightning lesson. So to manage complex sales cycle, you have to create a deal momentum with structure. Thank you for the thumbs up. So people, believe it or not, people crave structure in complex deals, right? Because these organizations, they're very big. Imagine they have 1,000 employees, or probably even for 200, right? And when you give them a structure, they will appreciate you for it. So from the very first interaction, you need to have a timeline. Don't just say, we'll follow up. Say, here's what the next few weeks will look like. Today, we'll have our initial discovery. Tomorrow, I'll send you a summary of our conversation and some preliminary thoughts. By the way, that's a tactic that I always do. 24 hours. Get into it. Thank you, Mary and Chris. So second bullet point, prescribe a timeline, right? I'll give you an example as well. And then establish a shared understanding. So this is micro commitments, right? Don't move forward on the next stage if you don't have any micro commitment. If they're not ready to get your proposal, or you don't have all of the information, I this is quite interesting, because sometimes I'm really tempted to give the proposal, but it's not gonna go very well, right? So you can say, to ensure respecting your time and making the most of this process, I've outlined a proposed timeline that just look reasonable to you. So create a timeline. I normally use Notion with my clients, so you can see that there's looking at it. There's new digital rooms there, like Align. That's quite very cool. And so I'll give them a timeline. So this is my timeline. So for today, we're gonna do a scoping meeting. Us, like you could put your company name there, and then we're gonna validate, then we're gonna propose. So you see the structure, and they can go like, actually, oh, hold on. Actually, we can't do that because we need to involve legal, or we need to involve my tech team. But you can see, right? Does this make sense? Like, you share with them. Like, if you don't want to like be very strict about the proposed timeline, you can even add like bullet points in an email. This is how you want to drive it. So this next one, Okay, I know this is a big slide, but this is an internal slide. You know why this is really important, especially if you're a sales manager and doing forecasting. So in the B2B sales maturity framework, you have the initiate, qualify, validate, strategize, propose, and win. But in every step, you're defining an activity that you need to complete before you move forward on the next step. So so um So you got to see what are the activities that you need to do per step. And this is an example, and you can build your own. So you might just have 5 steps or less steps, right? But you got to sit down and think, okay, from the very first step, how will I drive it? So what are the key gifts of the client for you to move forward? What does your client need to give to you? And what do you need to give your client as well? So you can see here, right? Confirm buying process, so how they buy. By the way, in the next few slides, I'll show you how to ask questions. So the power of double meetings to create momentum. After you meet your client, schedule a follow-up within 24 hours of the initial meeting. I know this might sound crazy. I know this might sound pushy to you guys, but believe me, this works, especially if there's a compelling event. Now, if they say I have a meeting, just check on the next one, right? Because what you want is to present initial ideas and get immediate feedback. You're not doing a proposal. You're just saying that it's not a polished proposal. I'm sharing initial insights. These are preliminary ideas. Get them really excited. What you want, how you want to solve their problem, and that will dramatically shorten the sales cycle. You can say, based on our conversation yesterday, I've put together a few initial ideas. I'd love to get your feedback. Let's jump on a call for 15 minutes tomorrow. How does that sound? You just got to get that. What do you think, guys? Is it crazy? Don't think that you're a pushy salesperson, because you're actually helping them solve their problem. Let me do another one. Okay. So mapping the stakeholder landscape. So in enterprise sales, you're rarely selling to one person. If you're selling to one person, that's not, I don't think that's enterprise. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. So you're navigating a complex web of stakeholders, politics, priorities, concerns that they have. So one of the tactics that I always do before a big meeting, if you know if thank you, Ati. If you know some of the people in the big meeting, you should do a nemawashi. It's what Japanese calls, influencing and gathering intelligence before the bigger meeting. Because what? You avoid surprises in that big meeting. And I have been in meetings with corporate clients like telcos, who the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And so it's just a big mistake. And they go like, oh, I have another student. She was able to book a meeting with one of the biggest banks here in Australia and New Zealand. And the one of the CTO was invited, and they're confused why they're there. Like, it's such a waste of time. And I'm not belittling our corporate clients, but they're like that. They're so busy. They have a FOMO. They have to go to an every meeting. So try to hold one-on-one calls before every meeting, gather intelligence, and build rapport. Get everyone on the same page. So if there's questions, there's red flags, you can immediately address it. Then it makes them more productive. So this is an example of different people. You have the evaluator, you have decision maker, you have a coach. So this is something that we do on the I know it's already 30 minutes. Give me more 10 minutes or 10:25. Okay, give me more like 5 to 7 minutes, I think. So the third one, how do you enable your clients to make decisions? Okay. So I will pause a little bit here, because this is a mindset thing, right? I think one of the challenges we have as salespeople, we don't want to talk about money, or we don't want to ask questions for our clients to make decisions. But most buyers are at large companies. Their expectations is that they have long selling process. They take their time. So if you are able to challenge these expectations whenever possible, how you prep for meetings, how you use time in meetings, how you propose a proposal, how you incorporate client feedback. If you put a few cuts to each of this, you can substantially reduce it. And there's lots of energy in your proposal, right? So make sure that you do that in every step of the way, and then educate them on the most efficient path. Like I showed you earlier, a process. Like if they see like, okay, we're going to talk today, next week we're going to do a scoping, you know they would love that because you're taking leadership and you're just asking micro commitments from them, and then you end up co-creating and collaborating it. So you can also say to your client, based on my experience with similar companies, I've found that most successful implementations involve this following steps. Would it be helpful if I share it with you? Ask for permission and then become a trusted advisor. So I've cut this really short, but there's a framework on how to ask very emotionally intelligent questions. So instead of asking what is your budget, by the way, there's a lot of AI now that you could, really ask how to question, but the most important thing, you got to practice it. Practice it with your teammates, practice it with your boss, practice it with your co-founder on how to ask this really good question. So instead of asking what is your budget, right? Say, every client situation is unique. After the discussion we're having right now, with the results that you want to increase your revenue or your productivity into 30%, this is the range that we're talking about, 500K to 600K. Are you in this range? Ask them that question, and they make them think. By the way, when you ask this question, they already have ROI in their head. So don't be ashamed to ask it. And then instead of asking how you will make a decision, for similar projects involving a team like you, we will have a functional lead, an executive sponsor, and the user. Does this align with your process? And who are these three people that, leading this conversations as well? And then they're gonna so you're working with them as a team. So instead of asking what's your timeline for this project, you just say, to achieve the best results, we recommend this, 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 this. This is how we're going to drive it with you. So just really a lot of prep every step of the way. But hey, it makes a big difference. Okay. So if you try this, give me feedback. So last one, your energy matters a lot, right? Your energy matters. Own the room or own the Teams or own the Zoom call when you're doing a presentation. And that's very different from a sleazy car salesperson, okay? But the energy that you bring will navigate these conversations into enabling them to make a decision and having really confidence that you are the right company to work with. The results that you will give is worth the time and the money they're going to spend. Confidence is really key. Be prepared, be energetic, and be you. Okay. So, key takeaways: qualify rigorously, focus your time, don't get distracted. The more time you spend on the wrong accounts, the more you won't find the love of your life in in the big deals that you want to close. Drive deal momentum, structure, and speed. You've seen all of the frameworks that I've showed. I'm gonna send you all the worksheets after the webinar, so in 2 days. And then enable decisions, guide your prospect. Believe me, some of our clients, they don't know how to make decisions and they need guidance. One example is they didn't know that I have to get a VP approved because it's over 1 million, and then so you will help them how to justify it, right? All right. So just 2 minutes. I have my course. It's going to kick off in April 9 to 26 because some people from Greece and India already registered. I'm now doing a PM session, which is 7 p.m. New Zealand time. That's going to be, morning in Europe. But the AM session is still on for 10 o'clock, and that's CET and Pacific time, your afternoon. So if you have any questions, let me know. So until Sunday, I'm doing a 150 discount code. Thank you, Naga. Awesome. Awesome. So I'm doing a discount code. Let me know if you have any questions about the course. I know it's not very obvious what you actually see in the full course. There's a lot of information out there. And also, I do 12 months coaching. So every month I meet with the team, with a cohort, like Chris here. Thank you for attending. I hope to see you end of the month, to sustain that, because salespeople, you got to be at the top of your lane every month, and it's great. It's a great sales career if you're selling a lot, right? And sometimes you get so down to yourself, but that's normal. And so having a community and learning all of this will help you in closing more deals. Thank you, Mary. So if you thanks Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. I'm reading the messages. So if you have any more questions, let me know. I'll stick around for more 5 minutes. So my favorite strategist, Dr. Roger Martin, says strategy is not about predicting the future, it's about shaping it. Any Q&A? Ellen, thank you. By the way, I didn't ask earlier because I was rushing. Let me know where you calling from. Would be really interested where you guys are. Hi, Rick. Thank you. Thanks for joining me. Oh, and I have a newsletter, by the way. Every week, I send out a newsletter. You learn tons on it. I really try my best to make it short, but sometimes it ends up like 10 minutes read. But I think I'll strive more for 5 minutes, but you'll learn a lot. Hey, Sam. Thank you. Talk soon. Oh, and I have an actionable next step. So, can you put the double meeting tactic into action and let me know if what you get out of that? Because I find that so good. Like 80% of the time, you're gonna close the deal if you have that next meeting immediately after 24 hours. All right. Any questions? I'm here. I'll stay with you guys. I'll stop sharing for now. One question, how to handle the situation when during the prospecting process they ask about the price. It's not strategic to mention it from the beginning, right? Because it's a more of, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Very good question, Sarah. You know what will I do? I'll implement the I should put that slide on. I'll implement this one. Let me share you my slide again. Actually, I hid that slide because hold on. Yeah, stay with me, okay? I'm just gonna unhide this slide. Okay. I'll show it now. Good, really, really good question. Share screen. Where's my share screen? Am I sharing my screen? Not yet. Oh my God, I can't share my screen. Okay. So I don't know why I can't share. Okay. So what you do is instead of answer, just listen and do an EQ statement. So an EQ statement is pushing them. You can say like, "Hey, thank you for asking immediately the price point that you want. But before I can answer the price point, I really need to understand what are the problems if your service is about problems or what are the goals that's important to you." Now, I know it's quite generic, but you need to do a little bit of research, Sarah. So if you go to their I mean, if you give me the company, we can do a quick 15-minute research about it. So you can use Google, so you can use Gemini or Perplexity, right? So based on your product and services that you're selling, try to find out what are the business hypothesis problems that they have. So when they ask you about the pricing, you can be more specific. So let's say, for example, thank you for asking for the pricing, but before I can actually give you the price range, can you confirm with me what are the problems that you're trying to solve, like the top, and then, or what are the results that you're trying to achieve? And if you can be very specific about it, that would be better, right? But since I don't know your product, I couldn't do the very specific. Does that help? Yeah. So when you do a discovery call, try to do a 15-minute research, right? Like Perplexity and Gemini. Oh my God, Gemini Deep Research. They give you so much information about the client. Like you can just type in at, hey, this is what I'm solving based on the services that I have. What are the problems that this client has? If they're a big company and they have an annual report, you will see so many answers in the annual report. So that's the exciting thing now about sales. Awesome. Any more question, guys? I know, Jeff, you shared with me a lot of questions like a case study. You have to go around that. I haven't had time to do it.
Yeah, anytime, Ren. You can catch.
Yeah. But team, I'll call you guys team. Really, in a discovery call, you can progress so much faster if you have very, very specific questions aligned to what problems you're solving. It's not like the olden days that you need to talk to people. At that time, you need now to validate and talk to them. Like, This is what I saw in your annual report. You've lost 35% market share because of this. Is this true? Because if that is a true problem, that's something that you can actually solve, right? So then you'll have more confidence in moving forward. Then you go to, okay, that's a problem. What is the impact? And then after the impact, what is the evidence that the problem exists? Then you go on to that qualification question. But then you move away from that pricing question first. But now that you have the whole idea about the pricing section, sorry, about the whole opportunity, then you can provide the pricing. Also, if they cannot, so now that you understand, you can give them a range, right? So, okay, with this problem, so remember, if you know the impact to them is 25 million a year, and they're only gonna pay you 200K. Imagine that. How's that for food for thought, Sarah? Because our mindset is really like, oh, I'm gonna charge for 200K or I'm gonna charge, right? But look at the ROI, how much money you're gonna solve them. Like, I mean, me for my sales training and coaching, I'm really proud that when my students actually practice what we're working, they close deals. So instead of wasting time on deals for the next 3 to 6 months, they qualify immediately. No, that's not the right client for me. I'll run after the client that would really close the deal for me. And then they win more deals, right? So that's how we do it. Okay, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you, Malet, Sarah, Naga. Hey, Karam, Chloe, thank you. Where are you guys from? Let me know, Chloe. Chloe dropped off. Ah, Colombia. Hey, Sarah. What time is it with you now? Oh, you're in Germany, Naga. Naga, if you 4 p.m. Oh, you can join me on the morning time, Sarah, if you want. Naga, we're doing. Oh, you're in Germany. Okay, we're doing PM session now because I have a Greek guy and an Indian guy now, so we have a class at night. Even if it's gonna be just two of them, I'm gonna run it because they're giving so much time for me. You're welcome, Sarah. I hope to see you again. All right, guys, if you don't have any question, thank you so much. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you for joining me so early.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.